Oakley dokley. So it's been a bit of a minute since I have made any kind of video or been on camera. I've been super hard into school and doing my practicum and just finishing up. We're on our last week. This chair is so squeaky. I hope that's gonna be okay. And I have an essay to write. This is going to be on cognitive behavioral therapy and its application in holistic wellness. So we know that I am very holistic based. I like to do things a natural way. I like to incorporate the mind, body, spirit, emotional and physical, and really bringing in spiritual aspects into therapy and creating just a really whole perception of healing and the different avenues that you can take. Excuse me. And different things that you can incorporate into your therapy and into your counseling sessions that are easily transferable into life, because that's the real goal, is that you're going to therapy to gain skills to use in your real life. That is the whole premise. So when people are like, oh, I never go to therapy, I don't want to go to therapy,
I don't need therapy.
Stop at school and get your grade 12 and then move on. But for those who actually want to learn and become really balanced and feel fulfilled in their life and be able to have relationships and properly communicate with other people and just really be the best that you can be, it's really important that you take care of yourself in these ways. And so if you've had bad experiences, or if you've been around people that really shut that down, or you've had bad counselors or psychiatrists, they are a dime a dozen. And we all know, through my journey, if you've watched any of my videos, I speak about that. There's just a lot of corruption in the system, and it can be really hard to find somebody who is a good fit for you. And that's one of the main things about therapy when you're going to find a therapist, is find somebody that you connect with, somebody that you have a good relationship with, and that you feel like you can talk to. If you don't feel that way, get another one. There's so many to choose from, and they're all willing to help you, and they're all willing to help you find who's right for you. So that could also just be a reason for counseling, going in and saying, I need a counselor who fits my morals or my religious beliefs or my culture, and we want to help you work towards that. So that's one thing. And then in healing trauma, because this essay is going to be focused on CBT, it really is, and I'm just going to pull up, I did have a piece of CBT. Oh, I actually had it on a piece of paper in my notes, because we're going to go through that, so... Okay, so the basis of this paper, I'm just going to really quickly say the outline. So I'm going to be talking about, we're going to have an introduction to holistic wellness and what it means to heal trauma and maintain wholeness using CBT specifically. There's so many other ways that you can approach this. There's so many other ways that you can, aid to your specific needs, and CBT is just one of those things. So the CBT cycle, it refers to this thoughts, behaviors, emotions. Okay, so we're going to picture this wheel. So thoughts, this is what we think affects the way that we feel and the way that we act. Behaviors affect how we think and how we feel. And then emotions, what we feel affects how we think and act. So there's this whole, circle going on, and this is the cycle that we talk about. So the main techniques in CBT are skills training, exposure therapy, cognitive therapy, and consistency management. So skills training is going to be, on the side of helping to reframe thoughts and helping to have a better dialogue internally, so you can better communicate externally, of course. And just some different skills to do with, maybe stress reduction, mindfulness, even journaling, and just building some different skills around those things. Exposure therapy is a little bit more intensive. So this could be, I'm going to say a really easy example. I'm petrified of rodents, and something that we do in exposure therapy is literally exposing yourself to this thing that you have fear around or trauma around, and creating new narratives in order to support a better relationship with that. So I guess a way that we could say that, some people will have pictures and we're asked to, even touch them or lay hands on the pictures. Because for me, like, that's petrifying. Rodents are a no-go for me. The thing that I can get away with is I actually don't mind hamsters, or guinea pigs. Like a bigger rodent or like a bunny. Is that a rodent? I don't know. But like something like that, I can handle. So I can handle different narratives. I'm like, okay, a mouse is just a hamster without a tail, or with a tail. So that's kind of like a really like funny example of exposure therapy, but you kind of get the understanding of that. And then, so cognitive therapy, this is going to be different behavioral experiments. This is going to be having guided experiences where me specifically, because this is the way that I do CBT in my practice, is that we do this guided discovery. And so I almost interview you, and I'm going to be a bit of a hard ass in this one, and I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to say, okay, so this is the thought. So what if we thought about it in this way, and in another way, and in all the ways that we can come up with, and just build conversation around that. And in that, within your mind, the cognitive, portions of your brain, the aliveness, the consciousness, we're building muscles, okay? So just like you go to the gym and you're working out muscles, you want to work out the muscles in your brain. Your brain is full of incredible stuff. We barely use any of it, and we really neglect it, again, because we're not really taught this kind of stuff. So CBT really wants to focus on building those muscles in your brain that, they can react in a positive way or respond instead of just react impulsively. This will also help, anger management, distress tolerance, just help with those emotions and regulation of that, and, just becoming a bit more mindful. So that's great. And then also consistency management. So this is going to look like scheduling. This could also look like a thought record or journaling. But just really coming up with a bit of a plan for yourself and seeing how those different aspects that we've learned in therapy apply to your real life. And we can measure those goals based on somebody's consistency in applying that stuff to areas that need tending to. So for myself, great example, I've been really working on getting to bed at a good time and waking up at a good time. I'm trying to do this more consistently. I'm trying to limit my screen time at night because I'm always on my computer as a student, and I, do a lot of homework and a lot of extracurricular stuff, and it's so exhausting, and I can push myself so much, but that's not helpful. You need to give your brain some time to relax and to just look at nature, look at something else. Sometimes I even, will go to an art studio or a museum, or I love pawn shops and antique stores. And this just helps me just get a different perspective on things and just clear out what I've been working on, and I can come back feeling fresh. So those are 4 main techniques that CBT kind of offers. Well, it does offer, not kind of. So some of the principles within that, CBT really aims to meet a time limit. So like I said, we want a bit of a schedule. We want to see end results, and we want to be able to carry those on as well. They're often in structured sessions. So you're going to come in with whatever you have, and we're going to work with that. And we're not going to take giant bites out of things. We're going to take, a small bite, and we're going to see how we can, work with just what we have. So then it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Because I know when you go to therapy, you're like, oh, I've got all this to get off my chest. And it's great to have that moment, to have those, that beginning of the session, get it out. Any new thoughts that can be written down and further observed, that's awesome. But we really want to structure our sessions so that you're getting the most, because you are paying for this. It can be expensive. And so we want to see results at the end of this. It also emphasizes active participation. So you are doing the work, the therapist is facilitating, it's the guide, this is for you. You're coming to this session to get something out of this for you. I can talk all day and, it'll help my brain in a certain way, but this is your story. And so we're here to work on your brain and body and spirit and mind and all those things in between. It also initially emphasizes the present moment. So while we do bring in things from the past, we'll probably, be unpacking some things, maybe digging old things up that have been dusty for a while, and we want to talk about those things, and there's a place and time for that. But the premise of CBT is we're going to work with the now and the thoughts now so that we can be better in the future. And so I think that that's a really great concept. And then, of course, focusing on problems and goals. So like I said, this is going to be a structured thing. We're going to be able to go with whatever you're coming in with, and we're going to have a goal for this. We're going to have an outcome, and we want this to be measurable. So again, with those smaller bites, little bit at a time, and depending on the length of your sessions or how long you're going to be going to therapy for, these are conversations that you want to have with your therapist. You know, how long do you have? What can you work with during this time frame? And, you know, don't be afraid to update that question as time goes on, because obviously, you know, things are going to come out and you might spend a whole session just having a big chat about something that you haven't thought of in years. And as a therapist, I think it's very important for them to hold a space for that, if that's what you need in that moment, of course. So those are kind of CBT principles. I want to talk a bit about, so integrating CBT into holistic methods of healing. So I kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning. We really want to be focusing on the wholeness of a person. There's other therapists or psychiatrists, counselors that, will work with you on a clinical level, and, you know, maybe even face value, and it can feel a bit systemic, at least in my experience. That was for me, which is why I've taken a holistic method and approach to my practice. It's also something that I'm comfortable with and that I grew up with. So that means, that we're taking the science and we're bringing it into the natural, which is, that's an amazing thing. So being able to scientifically explain why all these different techniques will be useful to you and what it will do for your body and brain, I think really gives a nice kind of foundation for someone to really build off of, so that they know that they're not just doing this for nothing, because that is a bit of a stigma around counseling, is that it's a bunch of hogwash and it doesn't work. And I truly believe that it only works if you are able to do the work. So that's an important aspect. And I'm going to talk a bit about developmental history. So I will just Google this up. I know who this man is. He's wonderful, but I want to make sure I've got proper, all the proper stuff here. Okay. So Dr. Aaron Beck is wonderful. He's globally recognized as the father of cognitive behavioral therapy, and he is actually credited with being one of the most influential psychotherapists of all time, which is so cool because this was back in the 1960s, and we're 2024 now, which is a bit of a jump when you think about it, but it's also very early. This is a super new field, and it's not like we've been learning this since ancient history. It's that ancient history has been building this little by little, and smart people like Aaron are making papers and making waves with this, and because of a lot of the experimental science and psychology that went on in the 60s. And above that, the good and the very, very drastically bad, it all has added up to this. And I think that we're on a really cool path, and we have a really awesome just foundation to keep going. So I just wanted to so his work with depressed patients led him to develop a new theory of depression, one focused on the underlying negative beliefs associated with loss and failure, rather than the psychoanalytic theory that depression is a result of hostility turned towards the self, and that depressed patients have an innate need to suffer. So this really is based on the fact that there's underlying causes for disruptions or for disimbalance, your upbringing, the environment that you lived in, social aspects, the economy, your genetics, the list goes on and on for all these reasons why you might just be feeling a bit uncomfortable in your life. And that's what we really want to work towards, is that, you don't deserve to suffer. there's a lot of people out there that really feel that. They feel that, they deserve it, or there's no way out, or that they're always going to have to feel like this, or that they have to change their name and change their hair in order to have a successful life just based on what they've lived so far. And that's just not true. I think there's always an environment that you can step into. There's always going to be somebody new that you can, connect with and lean on and create a life for yourself. And, a new life can start an hour from now if I wanted to. I could jump on a plane and go to Miami right now. Not the place that I would want to go. That's just the first thing that came to my head. But we really want to emphasize that. And so the other thing I wanted to share just quickly about the developmental history is that the first major clinical trial was comparing CBT to antidepressant medication, and basically the results of that were to be just as effective, and if not twice as effective, because there's lasting things, and it really prevents that relapse, because when we go on medication, it can be a bit of a band-aid. There is a time and place for that, but we really want to be working with a clear mind and clear intentions, and we don't want you to come out of this haze kind of disrupted even in that. So in conjunction with medication, awesome. But also if you can, do this with a clear mind, I believe that the benefits can really be expanded in many different areas. So I also want to just touch on Dr. Beck began to research and apply CBT to other disorders, of course, aside from depression, making clinical observations, identifying maladaptive beliefs associated with the disorders, and developing treatment plans to target them. He developed different instruments, including Beck Depression Inventory, Beck Anxiety Inventory, and the Hopelessness Scale, just to measure symptoms of psychopathology and evaluate the efficiency of treatment. So CBT has successfully been applied to anxiety disorders, substance use, personality disorders, eating disorders, psychosis, and a lot of other psychiatric diagnoses. In addition, it's been adapted for use with couples, families, children, adolescents, adults, and older adults in a variety of sessions, including hospitals, outpatient clinics, residential placements, schools, and prisons. So results have been... the patients have really benefited from this in all aspects, both in terms of symptom reduction and the promotion of healthy behaviors as well. So there's a lot to, be thankful for out of this one little small chunk. And, that's kind of why I've chosen it today to work on this. So we've talked about the focus of the principles and the main techniques, which is the skills, exposure, cognitive, and consistency. So some of the techniques that are in CBT, I'll just kind of start from my list here. There's in no particular order, and all very helpful. So I've got cognitive reframing, which is that reframing the thoughts. You're coming in maybe with some negative beliefs, and you're able to challenge those beliefs. And through therapy and through guidance, in a safe environment, of course, we can challenge these thoughts and beliefs and just have a discussion about it. It doesn't mean we need to change your mind or we're going from day to night, but we're just starting to build a conversation around that. Guided discovery, again, that kind of goes hand in hand with, the exploration, Socratic method of just talking and challenging. And guided discovery can be, through challenging negative beliefs and also living in the good beliefs and living in the moment, and kind of used in conjunction with mindfulness. This can be techniques to do with meditations or guided imagery. This can also be used through art therapy, this guided discovery. So there's a lot around each of these. Journaling and thought records kind of speaks for itself, and we'll get into that a bit later. Exposure therapy, we talked a bit about. Behavioral experiments, again, it kind of touched on that with the different instruments that Beck had designed to just assess how the levels of anxiety or depression or just interrupted behaviors are going, and kind of things around that. Activity scheduling, again, with the consistency and implementing all these different skills into your life. Stress reduction, one of my favorites. So definitely including things to do with mindfulness and yoga and body movement, getting out into nature. Of course, breath work is a huge one. And again, we're going to talk a bit about that one specifically later on. Role playing is huge. People don't do it enough. Practicing these things. You can do it with a friend, you can do it in a mirror. But role playing, difficult situations, job interviews, conflicts with your partner, there's a lot of different things within that. The solved technique. So we use this acronym SOLVED, or CBT does, which is select, open, list, verify, enact, and decide. So you're going to take a problem and you're going to plug all these things in, and you're going to be able to just see on paper your thought process towards this specific thing. And that can be used for any situation. So that can be helpful. That also comes with lots of worksheets. And there's different styles of doing that. Another acronym that's used quite a bit is the ABC. Same thing, we're going to take the situation, we're going to look at all the beliefs around that, and we're going to talk about maybe the consequences and outcomes of those things. And again, just a conversation. You're not, you don't have to implement it immediately or change your life within the hour, but we're just having the conversation. We're making the time, and it's great to do this with a therapist, especially at first. If you're not really used to that, doing it with a therapist first, you're safe. There's somebody who is non-biased, that there's no real opinion, and somebody who's educated on this stuff and can really help you even work through emotions that get brought up during this process, because there's a lot to unpack sometimes. Gratitude, huge component of CBT. Being able to, again, kind of in conjunction with mindfulness, being aware of what you have, being aware of the big and the small things, as small as they are. I love my tea, I love the wind, I love water, I love swimming. There's so many little things that when you start to build this gratitude in your life, those, the person that honked at me or the person that yelled at me in the morning, it really doesn't become, it doesn't become that big in your brain, because you've got way more space being taken up by the positive things that you want to give gratitude towards in life. So that can be really great. You can, write down lists, have reminders, sticky notes, or, those writers for your mirror or for your window, can all be really great tools. So again, lots of tools within the tools, of course. Exercise is huge. So, any kind of physical activity, yoga is a really, really good one. And Tai Chi, or just getting out for a walk and just being in nature, but anything to move your body, of course, is so important. And then lastful, the mindfulness component is massive in CBT. It's used throughout the entire thing. You need to be here, you need to be present. But for some people, and especially those who are coming in with, more traumatic stories, or, the situation is in the now. We want to be really careful about working with those kinds of people. And we want to facilitate a safe space to have those conversations and to practice those skills. So that's going to, again, look like having, just mindfulness can go many ways. You can incorporate art into that, sound, smells are really great for mindfulness, images, guided imagery. Meditation, though, is so huge. And again, we're building the muscle. We're going to be taking the little muscles within our brain, the circuits and the neurons, and we're just going to be giving some love to that. So that's super important, a super important component of mindfulness. So I'm going to actually add, the first one is guided discovery. And again, I've already kind of made some points on this, but the biggest thing about guided discovery and the way that I implement it in my practice is you are on a journey in your life, and this journey comes with all kinds of roads and all kinds of stops and roadblocks and trees that have fallen down and new avenues and new buildings that have been built. You might pick up a hitchhiker. You might run out of gas. There's all kinds of metaphors that I could pop up right now, but you're on this journey, and we've got so much power within us. And we want to use that. We want to be able to tap into that. We want to be able to hold our tongue when it's not appropriate to shout. We want to be able to feel each emotion without letting it completely take over our brain and our body and make us into a certain way for that day. We want to remain in control of our emotions, because we are the we are the control master. There's all these little buttons, and we have the power to tap into them at any point in our life. So through guided discovery and through CBT techniques, something that I like to really share with clients, if they're comfortable with this, is this aspect of guided imagery and exploration. So through this, when you come in with a situation, and let's just take grief as one, we're going to talk about your grief. We're going to talk about some of the components of that. And whatever you want to share is enough. You know, I don't need the entire story. I don't need everything that's personal, but the key moments that are, you know, the most impactful in your life. You know, those are the little tidbits that are really important for me to understand how to basically create this little journey that we're going to take. And within that, one of the techniques that I like to use is through meditation. And this is going to be a series of opposing feelings. And the main thing that we're going to focus on is healing grief. So grief is the big guy up here, but we've got all the other emotions that are going on in our body that are still there and still you know, able to be activated at any moment. So even though the grief feels heavy and the loss is now and you could never get out of that and you don't even want to take off that coat, this is a way to go inside and just move things around, and that you can have a bit of a different perspective on the situation. You can still have your grief. It still is there. It's a part of you. We need it. But when it's overtaking your life, then that's that disimbalance that we talk about, right? So through that, I might do something, you know, we're going to do a bit of a relaxation thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about grief and give a bit of an introduction. And then we're going to go through a series of emotions. And in this one specifically, I'm going to say, feel your power. Feel the power. Feel it fiery. Feel it vibrant. Feel it just illuminating inside of yourself. We're going to sit in that for a second. And then I'm going to say, feel your disgust. Feel your disgust. Feel it just boiling in you. Feel it crawling all over your system. And sit in that for a moment. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, feel your joy. Feel your joy. Feel those things that bring you happiness. Maybe that's your dog, your family, your walks, taking care of yourself. Feel that joy. Now experience jealousy. And feel that for a minute. And remember those emotions and all those things that are attached to that, because it's going to be personal to you. And we're going to go through those, that back and forth feeling. And what's going to happen inside is your body's going to be like, what is going on? That's initially what's going to be happening, is what is going on? And why am I able to switch back and forth so easily? And these stories just pop up so easily because they live within us. And these are the narratives that we tell ourselves throughout the day. And whenever we feel that jealousy, we go right back to that feeling, right back to that emotion and anything tied to it. And so what we can do to that is just spend some time and sit with those emotions and maybe update those emotions and go, oh, you know, I was really jealous at that point in my life, but that was like 2 years ago. And now I've got a different life. There's different things I can feel jealous over. You know, I'm jealous that other people get to eat cake and I have to eat gluten-free cake. There's different levels. And same with the happiness. You know, some of these things that brought me joy, you know, maybe also caused me pain back in those days. And so we want to update that joy. Same with self-esteem. You know, all the different things within us. It's a guided discovery. You know, and we can use imagery, we can use different tools, something, you know, that you can hold. We can be writing this down as it goes along. It's going to be tailored to you. So that's a really, really awesome and therapeutic approach to this guided imagery and kind of meditation thing, meditative rather. So the second thing I want to bring up is journaling and the thought record. So there's a few different ways that you can journal. There's lots of ways. And if you, took English in university or in high school, you know that there's different styles of writing. You can write in poetry. You can write short stories. You can write autobiographies. You can have a daily log. You can, there's a lot of that. But for this specific thing, what I like to focus on is writing down what the situation is. And it doesn't always have to be distressing. My throat is sore, sorry. It doesn't always have to be distressing. It can be a happy thing. You don't just have to go to therapy when you're feeling sad. But being able to speak lightly about a situation and just talk about it and see how it feels to talk about it and what kind of words come up and what new discoveries or what additions can you bring to this thing to make it even better. Something my science teacher actually always said that has always stuck with me is no matter what, even if you have done everything that you could think of, before you hand it in, there's probably something that you could add. So don't sell yourself short. Don't just get things done to get things done. Really take your time and put the effort in because, that's what you're going to get out of it. So an awesome technique for journaling is taking a situation, writing out how I'm gonna get the paper. So journaling and confronting, we're gonna talk about trauma for this one. So journaling and confronting traumatic events. So the first thing, you wanna create a time and space to safely do this exercise. That's carving out time, making sure there's no distractions, that nobody's gonna bother you. You got a drink, you got your paper or whatever writing instruments. Personally, I don't see a massive difference in the way that you write it. Some people want to type it. I use my phone notes all the time to get my thoughts out. But for this activity, I find it really helpful to write it paper, pencil, pen, whatever, so that you can hold it and you can rip it up if you want, you can burn it, but it's yours and you know that you have it. So then the second thing is we're going to think about the most traumatic or difficult or life-altering experience. So just think on that for a bit. A few might pop up, but whatever is the most prominent, whatever's really screaming for attention, don't be scared of it. It's not going to hurt you. It lives within you. It's already probably doing as much damage as it can do to you. This is going to be a way to release it, okay? So the third thing is we're going to free write for 15 to 30 minutes. No judgment. Ignore the grammar. This isn't going to get graded. It's important that you know that because I know people can be very nitpicky and want to do drafts or, want to make sure everything's spelled right. That's not the point of this. This is just getting everything out as long as it's legible to you. Scratch out those mistakes and just keep on going and just write and write and write and just pour your soul out onto the paper. So that's exactly what the situation is just create the time, think about an experience, and then write. The specific instructions, we're going to write our deepest emotions, deepest thoughts as they relate to the most upsetting experience in your life. And I really want the client to let go. And, this is focusing on aspects of family and love and social life, your childhood, maybe your relationships and your career, so on and so forth. And how has this related to who you have now become? It's definitely important to be taking that past and seeing how it's reflected in your future and in who you are now. Because again, with CBT, we are really focusing on the present and how it's affecting our cognition in the present moment and how we can better ourselves for the future. Because we've already done the past, it's already gone, we can't change it, but we can always change the future and we can change the course and we can change the outcomes. It's very important also to just really take a time out after the exercise, do some self-care, take a walk, take some breaths, because it can be upsetting. There's things, in there that you might not have thought were going to be brought up or that, you really wanted to talk about, but if you got it out, then all the better. So really just regulate yourself and take care. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to write the same experience for 4 consecutive days. So exact same experience, 4 different pieces of paper, and just write and write and write. And on the 4th day, I want you to take a week before reading that paper. And depending if you've kept all the other ones or not, you can do a comparison. And that's a really cool thing. So you can be, within the within the session and with your therapist, if you feel comfortable going through that and circling different words, circling negative stuff, circling positive stuff, highlighting what's changed, and just see what happens. This is a bit of an experiment, but it's so good, and it can really, it can really show what your inner world looks like. So there really is lasting benefits over a week. You can actually also do this over a period of 4 weeks. So if you just want to write one paper per week, that's also okay. You're still going to get the benefits from that. So we know that we hold stories within us and within our nervous system. And so as, a holistic approach, we want to be always working on the system as a whole. The nervous system is the largest system in your body. It holds so much, ever since you were born. It holds all your stories, and things can get trapped if we don't release them, or if we're not nurtured in the proper way at the time. Difficult things can get trapped, and that's what you live with, and those are the imbalances. So trauma is any experience which alters the way that we function cognitively, emotionally, and behaviorally moving forward. So we want to make sure that you feel happy and you feel centered and whole when you're moving in this life. That's what we want for everybody. And if you're not feeling that, chances are there's a few things that are getting in your way. And like I said, this is a journey. There's gonna be roadblocks. There's gonna be trees in the way. There's gonna be down power lines. You might run out of gas. There's all kinds of things. But the important thing is to know that we're still human beings, not vehicles. And we can always do something about that because we have the power of choice. We have the dialogue. We have all these incredible things that are given to us as human beings, and tapping into that is our right, okay? So another thing about this specific activity you're going to notice, there's 2 categories in writing. There's low expressors and high expressors. So on the low expressor end, on the first day, you might be a little bit less descriptive, a little bit less distressed, and probably less emotional. And I'm going to let you know that is only going to last for a little bit, because over the next 2 to 4 days, there may be a gradual increase. Not all the time, but chances are when you are low expressor, it might be because you haven't had maybe the environment or just the ability to express these thoughts before. So you're not always going to be able to have the answers right away. But over time, when you work with yourself and speak with yourself and reflect, the words are just going to pour out of you. So for the high expressors, as you can imagine, it's going to be the opposite. First day, there is a higher risk of physical symptoms, so a bit more distressing. There's a higher rate of coarse or negative language used. And over the next 2 to 4 days, you will see a gradual decrease, which is always really positive. And both of these things are really positive because they're working on different levels. And again, it's going to be tailored to you and to what your understanding is, what you're comfortable with. And depending on, how severe the case is, the length, of course, will also be a bit different, probably every day. So as I said before, papers 1 through 3, you can burn them right away, you can keep them, recycle them maybe. And on the 4th day, highlight those thoughts, highlight speech patterns, knowledge of emotion, or anything that stands out. So this is, something that takes time. Show love to yourself, regulate after each session, and just know that you're here to release yourself. So that's super positive. There is one more little note that I wanted to add, just a couple of the different ways. So tool expressive writing, which is kind of what I described in this one, is that we're going to write about what you think or what you worry about, or what you are not thinking about, so what you're suppressing. So we maybe want to write about any dreams, something that might be reoccurring or disturbing for you, or just something that you feel is affecting your life in an unhealthy way. So that's one way, tool expressive writing. Another way is morning note exercise. So this is a super great way to clear the clutter. You can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for 30 minutes. Each morning, you're just gonna write a stream of consciousness. It doesn't need to make sense, it's just getting it out. A lot of writers do this just to, again, clear the slate and allow their mind to become fresh, so they can focus on their day. And then gratitude journaling. is an awesome way to elevate your dopamine. So when we're feeling low, feeling like the world is against us, as we kind of talked before previously about gratitude, we want to just talk about things that we're grateful for. The little things, the big things. I can easily talk about my love for rocks. I love to go rock picking. I love flowers. I love, spending time with animals. There's so many little things. It doesn't always have to fall on, a human being connection or your relationship with your parents or siblings. It can be very little things. Like, I love toast with butter, like, so much. So that's another really great one. And then the last one I'll mention is the autobiographical daily entry. This is just a very, self-explanatory. Every day you're going to write in your journal. Doesn't matter what you write. It can be completely up to you. You might want to add some pictures, little doodles. You might want to print out some things for if you want to create a bit of a vision board, or just add things to remember. Another really great way to do this one is if you get you go to the dollar store and find a notebook that has all these little things, like things to do today, notes for myself, motivational stuff. You can find different tools like that and love yourself within that. Get a cool one, get some cool pencils or pens, and make this something for you. So then when you're bored and you go, oh, I don't know what to do, or you've been scrolling on your phone for too long, go and take out the notebook, take out the cool scented markers or whatever you got, and just spend some time with yourself. But again, I just always want to note that this can totally, it can cause some discomfort, some physical reactions or symptoms. It can come up. It's not uncommon, and it's important. It's important to be able to cry, important to be able to feel this feeling, whatever it might be that comes up. So, give yourself some love, give grace to yourself, and you got this. Okay, so our next one we want to focus on, I want to talk about stress reduction. So this is, one of my favorite things that we can tap into, because I've got so many cool tools and tips that I've used throughout my own life. And my mom actually is a massage therapist, so I was actually literally raised doing this. So I live and breathe stress reduction. But I still get stressed out, and it's important to know what to do when you get stressed out. When you're a kid, things can be so overwhelming, and you see tantrums sometimes. You see that big bright face of red, or holding your breath sometimes I've seen kids do, which is skills that maybe they have learned just through visually, the observation, or that they've been taught. So as adults, as we, update our understanding, we want to update our stress reduction techniques and what works for us now, because things that maybe worked for us a year or 5, ago, that they just don't work anymore. So a few of the reduction techniques that I'm going to be talking about within this essay, absolutely we're going to work on our breath. We're going to work on different aspects of using breath to calm the mind and regulate the body very, very quickly. One of my absolute favorite things to share to everyone is alternate nostril breathing. And I'm going to do a demonstration of it right now. So you're going to take your thumb and your ring finger, and you're going to place one on one nostril. I'm going to talk a little funny. And we're going to breathe through, I've got my thumb on my right nostril. We're going to breathe through the left. Pinch both nostrils. Hold for a minute. Or not a minute, but just hold for a few seconds. Release the right nostril and breathe out. Then we're going to breathe in through the right. Plug. Hold. And out. Apparently I'm hungry. Breathe in. Pause. Out the right. So I don't know if you can already see, but the mind will begin to clear. And if you do that for 30 rounds, like you are like reset, like you're a newborn at that point. It feels amazing. And when you can be with someone who actually guides it, sometimes it's helpful. Oftentimes, someone might want to do it themselves, and that's okay. But to really guide that and to guide that breath up into your pineal gland, up into your forehead, up into your brain, and out, and feel that warm air on the way out. Feel it cool coming in. And just by these key words, it can really help cue and just help you really feel the experience. And you can take that anywhere. Do it on the bus, on a bench, whenever you're stressed out. That's an awesome trick to learn. And it can seem so simple, but when people don't know, they just don't know. So that's one of my favorite ones that I always love to bring. Another one I would like to, share with you guys is a bit of a movement one as well. You can do this standing up, sitting down, however you like to do it. And we're just going to put our hands on our shoulders and get a comfy spot. Give yourself a little scratch, a little massage. And we're going to move. We're going to move one way, the other way. And what our breathing pattern is going to kind of be like a sharp exhale, and your body is naturally going to inhale. So that's going to sound like okay. So we kind of get the gist of that, and we're going to go nice and fast. Making that audible exhale, that sharp audible, and I can already feel that starting to just give me the benefits. And the benefits are a mind clearing and a bit of a body relaxation as well. And getting your mind and body and breath all in tune with each other. And again, anywhere. You can do it on the bus, sitting by yourself, at a park, in your chair, whenever you're sitting in class and you feel yourself getting a bit stressed out. Super easy. Tap into that part of yourself and allow your nervous system to really feel that. Sorry, I feel like I need to burp. There we go. See, the stress is leaving my body right now. Okay, so those are really great. The other one I want to bring up is a hug. Whoa, crazy. We're actually going to do a self hug. Easy peasy. Put your hands nice and wide. Stretch them back a little bit. Get warmed up. And just bring it around. And just give yourself a big hug. And breathe in. And out. And in. And out. And just hug yourself so tight. And I want you to imagine you're hugging your inner child. The one that is feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Like you've got all these tasks and not enough time. People are asking things of you. Or you're asking a lot of yourself. And we're just going to take this second right now just to hug our child. And say, we got this. We totally got this. And it's going to be okay. Now when that side feels good, we're going to open our arms up again, stretch them back a bit. And we're going to take it to the other side. And we're going to get a whole other feeling from this one, because it always feels a bit different, switching sides. And maybe you want to hug your inner child, maybe you want to hug your ego. Maybe you want to hug a different part of yourself, but just give some love. Awesome. And another little tip I want to share with that one is that you obviously can do that with another person, as long as they're willing. You can also do it to yourself. You can probably see how, my stress, not even stress, but my hyperness it's a little bit dialed down now, just because I took just a few moments to just be with myself, affirm to myself that everything's okay, we got it, and just Be here. So another one I want to just really quickly let you know is that when we rub our hands, we feel heat, of course. Our body is amazing. It's got so many different little tools within, and this one is, I guess, a combination of two. This is our thermal energy. We're rubbing, we're getting warm, and our electromagnetic energy. So I don't know if anyone else did this when we were kids, but if you put your hands like this in between a door and you push really, really hard and you stand there for like a minute or like a minute and a half, as long as you can, basically, and you step out, your arms naturally float up, which is so cool. And that's your electric magnetic field doing its job. So with this, we just want to gather some heat, gather some friction, and put it wherever we need it. Under clothes is good as well. You know, maybe we want to put that on our heart, put that on our stomach, and actually just feel that energy being poured into you. Amazing. The last thing that I want to bring up within the stress reduction is the component of sound and being able to not only source sound externally, but also internally. And we're going to touch again on the nervous system, and we're going to talk a bit about the vagus nerve. So a little bit of science, because I love science. The vagus nerve is an essential part of the brain-gut axis. Gut's a second brain, okay? And plays an important role in the modulation of inflammation and the maintenance of intestinal homeostasis, the regulation of food intake, I don't know what that word is, and energy homeostasis. So basically, homeostasis is being at a state of rest, of, feeling calm, everything's working properly. That's homeostasis. When we're dysregulated, our vagus nerve is kind of freaked out, a little bit amplified. We're going to feel a little bit maybe on edge and just kind of nervous. Like, you ever get that feeling where you're just like, something is just not right. Like I feel itchy, or I need to take a shower, or you just need to do something to help calm whatever this weird feeling is. That's your vagus nerve telling you that there's a disimbalance and you need to do something about it. So a few of the different things that you can do, meditation, you can get a massage, jumping into cold water, having a cold shower is awesome. But the thing I wanted to talk about is singing and humming. Because we can jump on YouTube, we can listen to music, meditative music. Binaural beats is something that I really utilize, not only in my practice, but in my daily life. Daily, all the time. I almost always have something playing in the background. Normally I would right now, but I actually forgot. But it's something soothing, something to calm, and it taps into the different parts of your body, and you'll feel the regulation. It's immediate. And so something that you can do for yourself is through humming. Creator gave us these vocal cords to speak, but also to hum and sing. And it's important that we know how and when to utilize that. So let's say you are feeling anxious and things are just uncomfortable in your body. We're going to hum, and we're going to hum from the top all the way to the bottom. And so this is going to look like a vocal exercise, which it totally is. But essentially, it's going to completely calm and center our body. So we can start low. We can start, what I can do is so we're going to start at the top of the head. We'll ground ourselves at the bottom. So you can make up any noise that you want, but the important thing is you feel the stimulation where you want to feel it. So for a top, we can start with lum. And when you say lum, you're going to literally feel it in your ears and right here. Lum, 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 lum. And depending on your voice, you can lum, 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 lum. When essentially, it's just relaxing a bit of your nerves. And we can go down. Vum, 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 vum. You're going to feel it in your throat. Vum, 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 vum. Rum 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 rum. Yum 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 yum. Hum 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 hum. Om om om. Om 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 om. You're gonna feel it low in your body. And then we're just gonna be silent for a bit. Allow your body to regulate that. And at any point, you can just pull that out. If you're feeling anxious, you can just easy, just an easy little hum. And you're going to actually feel, because you've taken the time to understand where the different points are in your body that you can tap into, you're going to be able to easily tap into that. And I've been singing for a long time, so I can do that quite quickly. But by just going, I can feel that in my throat and just a release. So maybe you're having trouble with communicating and you just need to give some love to this area of your body that works so hard to speak for you and speak your truth and your freedom. Up in your head. Out. So I want to wrap that up because I don't want to talk too long for that, but that's for that. And so all these like stress reduction techniques, they're all for, the vagus nerve. That is our nervous system. That is what we're trying to regulate. So, doing that, I can't. That's all right. Anyways, I want to add one more thing because this is something really cool that I learned a while ago. It's ancient. I did not come up with this. But if you're able to put sound into water, if you've got maybe a waterproof speaker, or you can, put in a bag or a waterproof bag, get yourself a bath. Put all the oils in there, put all the stones, the salts, all these little things. Make yourself a beautiful bath. Light some candles and put on a frequency that feels good for your soul and immerse it in the water. Allow that to kind of settle, and then of course immerse yourself in the water. This is going to not only clarify the water and bring that up to frequency, but because we are made of whatever it is, 70% or something water, we're going to be able to connect actually a lot faster. And the molecules in our body and all the cells are going to react and respond a lot quicker because of this, combination, and just really work really quickly to heal you and to balance you. And it's an amazing little piece of understanding that I use very frequently in my life. So that's that for stress reduction. And the final thing that we want to talk about is gratitude and mindfulness. So I've kind of talked about that throughout the whole thing, so I won't need to touch on it, as much. But basically, finding ways to remind yourself that you are here for beautiful purpose. You have it in you to do amazing things for this world, and it's up to you what you want to do with this life. And for myself, my gratitude, my happiness comes from learning science, learning different methods of healing, understanding my culture and cultures that I was brought up around, and learning that, we're all human beings, and despite our differences and despite where we come from, we all have a body, we all have the same mechanics, and we can all heal. So, a lot of different mindfulness practices around this. I would really suggest anyone, really try meditation. You don't need to do, Buddhist anything. You don't need to be a Tibetan monk or, go to Bali and do retreats. You don't need any of that. All you need is a good space. For me, I personally prefer to be outside so that my energy can be cleared. For those of you that maybe do smudge or have incense going, or just different components to your culture or spirituality, just keeping the good things around you and the good reminders, and then carrying that into your day. I carry rocks in my pocket in every bag of mine. I got things in my car, and it always just brings me gratitude and brings me love, so that when I am in traffic and somebody peeves me off, I can very quickly look at the things that are in my car. I have a specific, my mom taught me how to make a dream catcher when we were young, out of sticks and out of the things that we had near our home. And she would make little photo album or just little picture frames and stuff out of it. And in that is so much for me. It's a part of my childhood. It's my mom. It's my family. It's, you know, my heritage and parts of my DNA and things that are the most precious to me. And I can just have that in my car. And it's such a good reminder that, you know, I'm here and I'm happy to be here. So cognitive behavioral therapy, although it sounds like a big bunch of words, it actually has so much more than it even can be summed up. There's so many different avenues that you can take, and whatever is, you know, best suited to your situation and what you're trying to work on currently, we're going to be able to find that for you. We're going to be able to tailor, we're going to be able to tailor all these different techniques to whatever you're looking for and your goals in life or whatever you need to release. And I don't want people to, you know, write off therapy because they've tried it once and it didn't work. There's so much more to be discovered even right now. We're always changing. The education and science on this is like rapidly growing as I speak. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. And I'm excited to be sharing that. And I truly believe in this day and age, we need it now more than ever. Canada is in an opioid crisis. It's devastating. And one of the major reasons is because of intergenerational traumas that have happened through colonialism, you know, through the separation of families, of cultures, of language, just the destruction that has happened in this country alone, and that I know is happening in other places currently. And in order to make the world a better place, you know, it's these small things that make a huge impact. And it can be difficult to always be watching things online or seeing the news and, you know, seeing people die and war and bombs and, you know, refuge and people needing help and feeling like you can't do anything about it. But in reality, you know, that's this much of our world right now. And if you take a look outside, I guarantee that you're going to be able to find something that you can make a difference, and it will bring you love and it will bring you gratitude, and it will help your life moving forward. I truly believe by helping others, we help ourselves. So, you know, being able to walk outside and help your neighborhood and where you're from, it allows the foundation, the community to be stronger. And in that, then we can extend to larger communities, you know, larger cities. You know, that's how movements are made. That's how, you know, we make an impact in this world, one step at a time. So, was it Gandhi? Be the change you wish to see. And that starts with yourself. So, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope my essay goes okay. I cannot believe I'm going to graduate. I can't believe it. I've worked really hard for it. And thank you so much for being on this journey with me. And take so much care. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.